Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back. Got a Hive 5 in store today. Just a couple of brief topics I want to share in the channel. A couple of things being talked about in the socials and things going on in entertainment recently. So let's get into it. First off, I want to talk about some stories coming out, or a report coming out about Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, which does not come out still until December. But apparently there were some recent reshoots that took place, but more than just reshoots. The reports coming out are saying the studio is supposedly completely changing the plot of the majority of the movie. So the reshoots may be more extensive, or they may be just kind of, changing certain aspects of the overall story that required them to do reshoots. That seems pretty excessive, even though it doesn't come out till December. They were pretty much done shooting the movie a long time ago because it was supposed to come out at the end of last year. Then there were some stories about really negative reactions to test screenings, so I don't think it's really surprising that they maybe decided to change some things, but to change a substantial amount of the plot, I think is pretty surprising if that's true. Patrick Wilson, who plays Ocean Master Orm, he also told The Hollywood Reporter recently that he did do reshoots a couple of weeks ago. He said, "Orm is awesome. I was with him last week," which I agree. Orm was very cool. Really good villain in my opinion in the first movie, and I hope that they keep that integrity of the character in the sequel as well. And not too long ago, Jason Momoa also posted some stuff in his Instagram stories, which he did, he shares a lot of stuff on Instagram. People should find out a lot of things from his stories of him in Aquaman costume, and kind of talking about being on the set and things like that. It seems like they did do some reshoots, which of course reshoots are very, they happen with almost every movie. But I think pretty late for them to be making significant changes. First of all, because the movie is, visual effects, CGI, all of that stuff plays a huge role in especially this movie because it's underwater, and I feel like they did a pretty good job on the first one visually. And so hopefully that aspect is not compromised by them doing substantial reshoots or changes like 5 months before the movie comes out. That kind of stuff takes a lot of post-production, a lot of time to make it look the way it did in the first movie and have good quality. And hopefully that doesn't suffer, because if they're going to make changes, why didn't they do that a long time ago? The new leadership has been there for a while now. Yes, there was negative feedback to some test screenings that took place, but that was quite a while ago too. Which I understand, it's not just like, oh, okay, there's negative feedback, we need to change this next week. Of course, it's going to take some time to put those things into place, but it does seem pretty late, especially if it's changes to the plot. That's significant. That's going to require more than just basic reshoots. The Flash, Aquaman, I know people are like, it's not going to lead anywhere, it doesn't matter. So I think fans are not as invested anyway in these movies. But for the fans that still want to watch and enjoy the movies for what they are, hopefully this movie doesn't become unnecessarily damaged because they decided to make changes this late. Okay, moving on. The Barbie world premiere took place yesterday, and I just want to share a couple of familiar faces that showed up at the premiere. First of all, Margot Robbie. I love what she did with, you probably have seen all her pictures over the past week or so of all the press. She's been doing all the press tour. She's been wearing iconic Barbie outfits, which I think is so cool. And of course, she wore what I think is my favorite one so far, the iconic black strapless dress with the tulle at the bottom and the high ponytail. Love it. She looked amazing. Ryan Gosling also donned a pink suit. Pretty cool. Pink suit and white shoes. And then a couple of familiar DC faces showed up. First of all, Gal Gadot made a surprise appearance. So that was cool. A while back, there was a little exchange between her and Margot Robbie that was shared on social media, that Margot Robbie would have loved for her to be in the movie, and they had this sweet little exchange on social media about that. So it was cute for her to show up to the premiere. And also another DC face that we will see pretty soon actually in his own movie was Xolo Maridueña, who's going to be playing Jaime Reyes' Blue Beetle. So they were there to support. Barbie is a Warner Brothers property, so you would expect to see people from other Warner Brothers projects there as well. Of course, a whole lineup of other celebrities, but I wanted to share them since they are part of the DC family. Speaking of Blue Beetle, I think there is word that there might be a trailer coming up soon, possibly this week or sometime in the near future. The movie does come out in August, so you would expect there to be another trailer coming up soon, or another 2 trailers, and probably a lot more TV spots or promos will probably be coming out in the near future as well. I still can't decide if it was a good idea or not for them to say that he's going to be part of the rebooted DC universe. I don't know if that's, hopefully that kind of helps the movie instead of, the opposite. So that way fans and people won't think, oh, it's not going to matter because he's not going to, he's just going to have this one and done movie. So hopefully it kind of helps the movie in that way, because I do think he's going to be a cool character to see live action, which I think I say in probably every video where I talk about Blue Beetle. But I do think he is, and I think people will be happy with the casting. Hopefully, that kind of holds the studio accountable as well, since they already put that out there. But interesting about Blue Beetle, the runtime is 2 hours and 7 minutes, which I think is pretty short for a live action movie. I don't know. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be bad. There are movies that, length doesn't necessarily determine if a movie's good or bad. And it is just him. It's not a bunch of other characters. Hopefully that doesn't mean that it's lacking in story or substance due to the runtime. Granted, it was originally being made for streaming for HBO Max. Well, now known as Max. So that possibly could have contributed to the runtime too. That can be a challenge when something was originally made for streaming and then they decide to change it to theaters, which I do think he probably deserves to be in theaters. It's cool that he's getting a theater run for the movie. There can be negative side effects from switching it from streaming to theater, since they were already making the movie when they made that change. And I think the big topic of today that has been, just blowing up social media is this cool picture of Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman on the set of Deadpool 3, which we know Hugh Jackman is returning as Wolverine in this movie. However, he's in a suit, the Wolverine suit that he has in the comics. All those years that he was Wolverine, he never had a suit. He was always shirtless. And I believe they teased a suit at some point, but you never saw him in it, if I remember correctly. Never saw him in it, I know that. But I do think that they teased his suit at some point. Fans who have loved Hugh Jackman as Wolverine over the years have always wanted to see him in the classic suit. And that never happened. And so I think it's really cool now that people are actually seeing him in a suit. A lot of people didn't think it would work live action because some things don't. But I think it's actually a really good looking suit. Now here, he doesn't have a helmet or anything on his face, which is part of the suit as well. So I don't know if he's going to have that or if they're going to leave it just how we see it here in the picture. But I think either way, it's a pretty cool design for a live action suit. And I've said this many times, when suits look good, in my opinion, and just set pictures with no cinematic quality being added to them, I think that's always a good sign. So I think this is a pretty cool suit, and I think it's going to be really cool for people to actually see him in it after all these years, because people didn't even think he was going to be, appearing as Wolverine again, because after, Logan was kind of like his send-off. But cool suit, and I think people are pretty hyped to see this. And then also there's, been floating around too the past couple of days that Jennifer Garner may be coming back as Elektra, and I've also seen the rumor about Ben Affleck being seen on set for Daredevil. So, they might just be throwing everybody into this movie for a multiverse aspect. I do think it would be pretty cool to see Ben Affleck come back as Daredevil. And Jennifer Garner's Elektra for that matter. But if Ben Affleck ends up showing up, I think that'd be pretty interesting. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of touch base on the channel and share some hot topics at the moment. Thank you guys for the support. Check out anything you might have missed. Head over to the short section if you're interested as well. If you are a gamer, you can check out the link in the description for the current, for the summer sale at GameStop as well. So thank you guys for the support, and we'll see you soon.